We all know that IPs are labelled as the selfish assholes. But what if I told you that EJs are just as selfish, if not more so? Now, before you decide to get all offended and cancel this channel, hear me out, because as an EJ myself, I'm speaking from experience. The Oxford Dictionary meaning of selfish is as follows: of a person, action, or motive lacking consideration for other people, concerned with one's own personal profit or pleasure. And the Oxford Dictionary meaning of arsehole is... well, I don't think I need to explain the meaning of that one. Just use your imagination. IPs are considered selfish because they don't have the tribe's perspective in mind. They ask themselves what they want first, and then they might ask others what they want. They are allowed to, by default, make decisions on their own, and all of this is the opposite to how EJs naturally behave on the outside. EJs are always focused on what the tribe wants every second of every damn day. They ask themselves what they want last, if at all, and only after they have asked everyone else. They are not allowed to make decisions on their own. Right, so it still sounds like the IPs are the selfish ones and the EJs are the self-sacrificing martyrs. So what is the problem? Regardless of type, we all share the need to be loved, accepted, and understood. Everything we do is an attempt to get these needs met. How we go about it differs depending on OP type and social type. IPs have the reputation for being selfish because they are directly asking themselves, what do I need and how do I get it? Of course, this doesn't mean that they always get what they need, but they are at least more honest and direct about their intentions. EJs, on the other hand, disguise their needs as other people's, but underneath, they are driven by the need to be validated. But if you ask an EJ why they helped you with something that you didn't ask for, I can guarantee you that they will respond by saying, it was all for you, you ungrateful asshole. And what happens when you're not happy with the unsolicited help or advice and you don't show the expected appreciation? Well, the EJ will tantrum and either become a Karen if more extroverted, or if you're on the introverted side like me, you become a sulky, passive-aggressive child, which no one likes. The point is that disguising your needs as others is dishonest and still fits the definition of selfish. This covert selfishness leads to inauthentic motivations and transactional relationships, which are solely centered around the EJ getting what they want without having to deal with feeling selfish for it. The problem is that you are starting from a place of emptiness and a need to be validated. That helpfulness that is being offered isn't from a place of happiness or fulfillment. I know that thinking of yourself as being selfish can sound completely repulsive, and you're probably wondering, why am I suggesting that it's a good thing? But there are good and bad versions of selfishness. The good, more desirable kind of selfishness involves having the courage and self-awareness to give priority to ourselves at a time when we need it, and the confidence to be forthright and honest about our needs rather than trying to disguise them as someone else's. Practicing this kind of selfishness is not in order to harm or reject other people, but in order to serve them in a deeper, more sustained and committed way over the long term. In order to be a good parent, you may need to have an hour to yourself every day. You may need to do something that seems a bit indulgent, like getting a massage or reading a good book. But because you may sense how contrary to expectations these desires can seem, it is easier for you to stay quiet about your needs and just get on with what others need from you. So you end up growing increasingly ragged, angry, and bitter with those that rely on you. To avoid this, you need to find and maintain the middle ground between meeting other people's needs and your own. It is important to remember that it is not all or nothing. It is not all your way or nothing at all. To avoid being accused of the wrong sort of selfishness, the trick is to become a better ambassador of your intentions. You need to become overtly selfish.
Kind of waiting for a crisis to happen because that's where I shine. And then I'm sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop otherwise. And then I need to be useful. Usefulness is how I basically drive my self-esteem, my productivity, but usefulness to other people. So like when I go to something, I'm like, how can I be useful? Can I help with this? Can I help with that? And if I can have my motive not be, I know I'm unlovable unless I'm useful to you. It's just more like, this is where I can also do it now and just enjoy it. But it's kind of a superpower too.
Are there environments where you feel like what happens in environments where the usefulness isn't right at your fingertips, or if you go on vacation was my thought. Like if you go on vacation, there's not really a thing to do. It never happens. When was the last time it happened?
It's just not for me. And that's okay.
I love that.
I don't force myself to do anything I don't want to do.
Great.
And I don't shame myself for not wanting and enjoying the things that everyone else wants and enjoys. You know? I really like doing things for myself because look, growing up, everything had a price, right? Well, I did this for you. I just did that for you. And I did this for you. There was always like scorekeeping of like, I'm hungry. Well, I just got you this. It's like, oh, we're keeping score on feeding your child? Like, I didn't realize there were only so many things I could ask for. Like,
if you're an EJ, you might be thinking, okay, that's great, but how do I know what my needs are? Don't worry, I have been there, and here are 2 things that helped me and might help you too. Now, the first thing, pay attention to your triggers. So below the trigger is the pattern, then the wound, and then the unmet need. Whenever you get triggered, write down what happened and think of an interpretation for why you may have been triggered. Keep an error log to keep track of these common themes. We have a free template, we'll link it below. And number 2, pay attention to the voice in your head. Michael Singer, who we did our last typing class on, talked about his biggest discovery being the voice in his head and how neurotic it was. My advice is to pay attention to what yours is telling you. Are you thinking, gosh, I'm so tired, I need an early night? Or, I really don't want my parents to come and stay this weekend. As an EJ, this voice will be quiet, so make sure you listen to the whisper because it is pointing you to what you really need. And to include a little bit of ST in here, make sure you check in with Maslow's hierarchy of needs to make sure your foundational needs are covered. Remember that identifying the pattern is the awareness, but choosing not to repeat the cycle is true growth. And here's a little quote I found from Gabor Mate. When we don't feel wanted, we make ourselves needed. So a translation for the EJs is take care of your own needs so others will want you.